Greetings, people of the internet. This is Scott with CircWorks, and this is 100 Days of Making Comics, day 66. And what is 100 Days of Making Comics? It's where myself and a bunch of other people who are doing the same challenge put aside at least 30 minutes a day in their schedules to work on their own personal art project. Most of us are doing comics. That's what I'm working on. But it could be anything, really. So what I'm working on is a comic book called Young and the Dead. It's a cross between Goonies and Night of the Living Dead, kids versus zombies, kind of a throwback to the 80s kid adventure films like Goonies and Monster Squad and all that stuff. So what I'm doing today, I've been kind of going back and forth. I've been penciling a little bit, getting a little further on my penciling, and then I've done some more work just on page 1 of issue 3, which is the issue I'm currently working on. Then I'll go back to page 1 and I'll do like some more with the colors and kind of finish that up. So what I've been doing today is lettering. So actually I believe page 1 is like officially done, because it's, from pencils to inks to colors to letters to all that. And when I say colors, I mean grayscale shading, because the book's in black and white. But yeah, so it's pretty much ready to go. So I figure I'd show you what the finished page looks like. And I still haven't decided if I'm going to keep doing this, like if I'll finish up page 2 and then do that. I might just at a whim, maybe I'll just keep penciling along, and then if I get tired of penciling, maybe I'll go back and do some, finishing up page by page as we go. So anyway, I'll show you kind of what I have on my screen, and I'm not going to do the screen capture because I've been having a problem with that. I'm going to see if I can just prop my camera up there and see how that looks. Hopefully it'll look okay. So let's take a look. Okay, so I've got page 1 here on my screen. Let me zoom in so you guys can see a little bit. Hopefully this is showing up. I think it'll show up better than if I had the screen capture, because my screen capture software that I was using kind of sucks. So you can see that's the panel 1. You can see we've kind of got lines from a song playing with the little music notes and everything. And we've got some dialogue boxes here. This is from a zombie, that's why it's kind of like gooey and same with the font that I'm using. And then we got some sound effects over here. There's not any like regular characters talking in this scene, so we don't have we don't see any of the standard word balloons or speech balloons. But anyway, so that's kind of the first page, and figured I'd talk to you a little bit about lettering here. Oops, where we go. I'm just going to pull over here and bring up some. So these are some of I was just playing with some different font styles and everything. One good thing to have, let me flip over to this other monitor here and see if I could show you. So this is a software, I think it was a free download. I got it a long time ago, so I assume it still exists or whatever, but it's called AMP Font Viewer. And there might be other softwares like this, I don't know, but it's just a really cool way for me to organize all my fonts. Like this is a folder here, and all it is are like comic book fonts, fonts that I use that are kind of in that comic book style. So, and I can organize. Let's see if I want to categories. So I've got script fonts. So these are all my script fonts. Let's see, what else do I have here? Other categories. Decorative. So these are more like decorative fonts, not that you're going to use in a body of like a magazine or anything like that. Let's see, and then of course I've got your basic serif body copy and then sans serif and all that stuff. But anyway, yeah, it's called AMP Font Viewer. If you don't have anything like that, I suggest probably you get one. It's a really good way to organize all your fonts and everything, and I find it very helpful. So anyway, let's see. I wanted to show you guys a little bit about some of the tricks you can do. Now, my handwriting is really bad. If it was better, then I probably would be doing it by hand. And I'm kind of the opinion that handwritten fonts typically do look better than you know, the standard computer fonts because they're more organic and everything. But I opted just to go with the computer fonts just because my handwriting is not that great, and I suppose if I took some time and really did, I could get it to look okay. But it's just one of those other things where I'd rather spend more time on the actual art, and not that lettering isn't a big part of the art, because it is, as I'll explain, how bad lettering can really ruin ruin good art. So, but anyway, so here's a line of that song, and this is kind of a cool kind of comic. Oh, so let me roll it down, kind of comic book style font. Let me zoom in on that real quick. That's the bad thing about not having the screen share, is getting things to show up on the screen. So okay, so yeah, it's pretty cool as it stands, but since I do want this to look a little different, not just the straight comic book fonts that you usually get, and I work in Illustrator, so if you don't have Illustrator, I think there's kind of like free vector drawing programs that are similar to Illustrator. I think is it Art Rage maybe, or is that something else? I don't know. There's a few different ones, but if you don't have Illustrator, of course I really can't tell you how to use that software because I don't use it. But and a lot of stuff you can do by hand too. I mean, you can, if you are hand lettering, a lot of what I'm going to tell you kind of applies. But anyway, so here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to break this into artwork. So right now it's a font. You can change it and edit it and everything. But if I go and I'm going to convert this to, I'm going to take type, and then I'm going to create outlines. And what that does is it turns it into artwork. And so I can't edit this anymore, not in the traditional sense of highlighting it and changing whatever words are, but I can do some other stuff to it. So right now it's all one piece, so I'm going to break that apart, and sorry you can't see the whole screen, but it's just ungrouping it. So object, let's see where we are, ungroup. So now each letter is individual. So if you look over here, you can see, let me show you this. I should have planned this out a little better. I don't know if you can tell the difference. It's subtle, but it is there. So the font, because this is from a song, I kind of wanted it to kind of go like this, and kind of like it's on one of those musical, I don't know the term for it, where those got the bars across and everything with the little musical notes. But I wanted to kind of flow more like that. So instead of just using the font the way it is, of course, I added some different effects to it, a little outline and everything. But let me get back here. Where am I? Where did I go? All right. So my font, my type that's been broken apart, I can go in here and I can move these letters around to make it a little more kind of off kilter or haphazard looking. And this works especially good for a zombie comic like mine, where you want the type to kind of be, like if a zombie was saying something, it would be all gargled and everything. So, and this particular line of type doesn't have anything to do with what a zombie is saying, but again, I wanted to kind of have it kind of flow a little more, kind of wind and everything, and be more melodic, like because it is from a song. So you can do stuff like that. Little things like that help. The other thing I want to show you, and I'm not going to get into a big thing on lettering. I like to keep these fairly short, but so this is the font that I'm using for. Let me zoom in real quick. Most of my body copy, my characters, it's called. I got this from. Where did I get this from? Was it Blambot? No. Blambot or Comicology. Wait, I'm trying to remember the other one. There's two like main comic book font companies, but this one was a pay one, and I would suggest, because everyone uses the same free ones, at least get one, invest in one pay one, so it's a little different, especially if that's what you're going to use for most of your body copy. It kind of helps so it doesn't look like everything else out there. So I purchased this one. It's called CC Monologus, I guess, something like that. But this is what I've been using for pretty much all my characters, except if it's a zombie or whatever. And I've seen some people, sometimes comics, they'll have like different fonts for different characters, and it's kind of, it's okay in moderation, but you don't want to have all your characters have different fonts. It just kind of, I don't know, it's just too much. It's like I've seen where it's effective. Like there's a children's book series called Geronimo Stilton. I don't know if you've seen it, but like every line is kind of in the different color fonts, and it plays around a lot with fonts, but that's kind of the angle of that whole book, and it's got little pictures in place of words and things, and it's kind of neat, but it doesn't always work in comics because you're taking away from some of the art. And I think you want your type, to kind of, and your lettering to kind of blend in and not jump out, so it's so noticeable that it's taken away from the art. And to me, that's kind of what good lettering is. So anyway, so I've got this. Now I'm going to just draw a balloon here. Now these are, this is a standard ellipse. Sorry, this is a standard ellipse template. You can create these ellipses, and that's not bad. You typically get a lot of, you can kind of go in here, and I've seen a lot of people do this. It's okay, but really I think you want to try to make your word balloons a little more organic looking and not so perfect. So what you can do is there's a direct selection tool, and it's up here. It's this little arrow right here, and you click on that in Illustrator, and then you click on these little things, these little dots, and then you get what are called Bezier curves or handles, and you can kind of pull that out a little bit, and you can see you can just ever so slightly. You don't want to go too crazy with it, but that really helps out to me anyway. It makes it a little more organic looking. So I tend to do that, and then you take your pen tool, and then you can go in here and you can draw your balloon tail, and then you can just merge these two with there's a little thing, the Pathfinder tool right here. Click on that, and that will merge it. If you have any questions, because I'm kind of just going over this real quickly, but if you have any questions, just comment on the YouTube channel or whatever, or Facebook me or any of that stuff. But yeah, it's weird because, like I said, lettering can really, if it's not done well, it can really ruin a really nice comic. I have a friend who he's a really great illustrator, but he hadn't really done comics that much, and so he's hired to do some sequential art pages or whatever, and I mean, the artwork just looked fabulous, but then he was doing the lettering, and it looked like it was going to ruin the whole thing. And I said, you gotta you gotta do something with this lettering, because basically it looked like this. So imagine you have I'm just going to turn this into like let me get it right here so you can see it. Say like an Arial or a Helvetica or something, just a basic font like this. And then let's see, let me tilt this up a bit. This is kind of going to be a weird one. Oop. I have this little tripod, and it is not standing up straight. Hold on. So, kind of like this, and I've seen so many times, and it's so bad where I don't know why people do this, but they're like, I've seen people do stuff like this where it's you need breathing room. You need even if you aren't going to kind of modify your word balloons, you need some breathing room. But yeah, so imagine this right here, little to no breathing room, with just or even worse, like a Comic Sans or something like that. Maybe I should do that. Comic Sans. You'll see what I'm talking about if I have it. I might not have Comic Sans. Maybe we just deleted it altogether. Yeah, here we go. All right. Okay, so. So let's just, I'm going to group that. All right, we're going to move. So here we go. I mean, it doesn't matter how good your artwork is. I mean, this is going to just destroy your artwork if you're dealing with stuff like this. So anyway, those are just a few basic tips. Maybe I'll do a video that's a little more in depth and about lettering and everything. But I just wanted to show you a few things and again show you kind of what I've been working on here. Again, if you want to take a look, so that's pretty much page 1, ready to send off to the printer, assuming if everything else was done, which it's not, so it won't be going to the printer. But now that if I continue to do these page by page, full pages, then eventually when I start uploading as a web comic, then I'll have content to do that. So who knows? I'm still trying to decide what I'm going to do about that. So, yep. Okay, yeah, so that's just a brief overview of how I do my lettering thing. Like I said, there's so much more to it, and I'm sure you can Google stuff on lettering or whatever, or maybe, like I said, maybe I'll do another video. Yeah, I just kind of wanted to give you an insight to how I do that. So that's probably it for today, which is day 50, no, 60, what did I say, 66? Yeah, thanks again everyone who's watching these videos, everyone who's following me, who's commenting, and I'll have another one tomorrow. I'll see you then. That is all.